Επομένως, η μοντέρνη σταθμή μετρό δεν είναι απλά μια διαδρομή με τελικό προορισμό την πλατφόρμα, αλλά μια ευκαιρία για τη δημιουργία ενός νέου κέντρου που παρέχει περισσότερες υπηρεσίες. Ενός νέου πυρήνα, θα μπορούσαμε να πούμε. Γύρω από αυτόν τον πυρήνα, οι προοπτικές ανάπτυξης της γειτονιάς είναι πραγματικά μεγάλες.
Υπάρχουν πολλοί λόγοι για να θαυμάσει κανείς τους Atelier Wow. Είχα σκοπό να παριθμίσω ορισμένους, αλλά για οικονομία χρόνου δεν θα το κάνω. Αμέσως έρχεται στη σκηνή ο Yoshiharu Tsukamoto και μόλις ολοκληρώσει την ομιλία του θα ακολουθήσει ένα σύντομο Q&A με το Στάθη Καλύβα. Welcome.
Hello, good evening. So I try to speak shorter than I prepared, since you are tired. So, but please wait for a few minutes. Okay. I like to talk about back to basics, nearly equal architecture without architect's question, and architecture behaviorology, creating better accessibility to the local resources. So I skip, okay. And then, so this is the house we designed in Antiparos, and starting from, the project started in 2007, and then finally it's built in 2020, completed in 2020, so it was a really long process. And the house is penetrated by 70 meters long pool, and basically, it's to appreciate the life of Greek food and the sun and staying outside, and etc. So we try. It doesn't look like a vernacular architecture, but we try to incorporate or learn as much as possible from the what is built already in the island and also Kikradik area region. And then one thing I like to explain about the connection with Japan and Greek. And the left side, as you know, this is a pavement of Acropolis, and designed by Dimitri Pikionis in 1950s. And right side, it's not good as Pikionis, but the right side is House Antiparos Peninsula, which we designed. But we couldn't visit the site since the construction was during the COVID. So it's a big disadvantage for us to compete with Dimitri Pikionis. But anyway, we introduce the system or kind of arrangement, which is I think Pikionis also knew from Japanese culture or Japanese picture book. And this is three different type of the calligraphy. The Shin Gyoso. The Shin is a very, hard lines and proper manner to write the Chinese character. And then So is right side. It's totally broken. It's very fluid and then very flexible, soft. And then Gyo is in the middle. So the manner to make a kind of a straight line with broken stone or random shaped stone is called Gyo, inspired by this calligraphy. And then it's applied also for the garden. So these three examples are from the garden of Katsura Palace in Kyoto. So actually, Pikionis were very much inspired by Japanese architecture. So in the drawing of Agios Lumbardiarsis, this is a kind of a Byzantine church at the bottom of, at the foot of Acropolis. It's obvious that he was very much interested in Japanese architecture through architectural language, but also the touch of drawing. So, typology is a very important kind of common ground for architecture design, but and then it's a very important mean to realize, to achieve back to basic. But I think I also doubt, is it good enough? And isn't it still within the spatial perspective? How about our ecology of livelihood? What are behind of all things around us? Aren't we responsible as a network of things which construct our livelihood? So this is a question, and then this type of question really came to my mind when we experienced the support or for recovery process of Tohoku, Northeast Japan big earthquake. So we organized a volunteer architect network, ArchiAid, and visited there and then worked together with village people who lost houses. The village were all swallowed by tsunami in this peninsula, Oshika, and 28 villages were almost gone. And then we were, this is Momoyo on the right side, so we visit the village and then start asking how they live in these villages because there are nothing, so we can't really guess which kind of life actually run and happening in this kind of village, in the farming village. And then we didn't know who lost the family member or kind of friends. So but it was really delicate moment to interview those people who were actually suffered by the tsunami. But gradually we realized that this kind of hearing is not just for architecture design. It's exactly the manner that the ethnographer have developed for a long time. And then so from this experience, we start thinking that architecture design can be very close to the architectural ethnography. So, for example, we visit the damaged village and then go to the mountain to find the relocated site, which would be developed and supported by the government. And the city authority wants to have a kind of agreement of the villagers where to put this relocation site. And then we went the top of the hill, and then there are cedar forest, which are not maintained for 20, 30 years. Until 1980, it was well maintained and then utilized for construction of the houses. But nowadays, they are abandoned because of the price of the timber imported from North America became much cheaper than the Japanese timbers. So Japanese forestry were really weakened by this market operation. And then so the left image shows a damaged village with these local resources, which is cedar trees on the mountain, but actually it is not accessible for fishermen nowadays. So we found that there is a kind of barrier between our lives and resources, even in the fishing village. So based on the interview, we drew these kind of drawings, and then it becomes a kind of square or plaza. Many village people came to discuss about the past and the future. And then we try to encourage them to imagine the new houses by proposing a tiny little house called core house, which learned from the fisherman's house, but in a very, very small scale, but can be adaptable to the different stage, and then it can grow little by little. And then we built actually the model house for to answer the request from the fishermen. And yeah, we built this 1 to 20 model, and then they appreciated our effort. But they said, yeah, it's good, but we can't understand if it's not real. So, and then we built in this manner, and then, yeah, they was very happy, but they said, oh, yes, it's good, but it's too small. And then, so, this is our worries was within 5 years, the government tried to recover this damaged area, but by introducing a kind of house industry to these regions. But as a local landscape and then village landscape used to be built by the local carpenters and local materials. So this is actually the view of one of the recovered village on the relocation site on the right. This one. But it's very similar to the Japanese Tokyo's suburban housing district, housing area, because network-wise it's same. So the government achieved the recovery of the building, the number of houses which was necessary, but it failed to recover the network of things. And I realized that there is a kind of barrier between local resources and our livelihood today. So the life of a fisherman is almost like still based on the ethnographical network. So they are living here, but they are also utilizing the very high-speed boat and ladders to find the crowds of fish in the ocean, and they use also, of course, smartphones. So they are living in this hybrid zone, but we architects from Tokyo are actually living in this industrial society network. And then everything, food, energy, were fully supplied from the service. We have to pay for it, but the fishermen, they can fish. They can get the food from the ocean, they call Pacific Bank. And then they also have trees in the forest, and they also grow rice, so they're really resourceful. So I found we are somehow called human resource, but the fishermen are resourceful human. It's different. So I really want to become resourceful human instead of human resources. And then this is a kind of challenge the main challenge to become a resourceful human is to access to these local resources. So the industrial society network is convenient and very also comfortable, but there is a quite high barrier between local resources. We can't really access to the resources. But the ethnographical network, the old villagers, they know how to access to these resources, and they have skills and tools. So based on this, after this experience in from 2011 to 2015, we had a chance to work in the depopulating farming village. And then this kind of mountainous farming village is called Satoyama. It's a very important word, which is a kind of a Japanese version of commons. And so the village we are working is here. It's Tokyo. It's a 1.5 hour drive. And then, so there are series of terraces. Rice terrace, and it's very difficult to produce a lot of rice because it's very difficult to adapt to mechanization. And then we built this Tanada office on top of the rice terrace to help the one guy who migrated this village 24 years ago, Mr. Hayashi, and who runs the urban-rural exchange program to invite city people to participate into farming. And then Muji, it's a kind of the Japanese company who helped him to work together. And then they asked me, Bow Wow to build this kind of the folly for the rest and for gathering, and then I became also one of the owner of rice terrace, and then for the cropping festival, as our friend who is a Japanese drummer gathered to perform, and then this is the house of Mr. Hayashi. It's a 200 years old farmhouse, and he ran various workshops, like making a kind of New Year ornament by a rice straw, and producing soy sauce by ourselves, and making charcoal with old kiln. But the house was damaged in 2019 by the extremely huge typhoon, and then the metal sheet which covers such roof peeled out, and then the old such roof appeared like this. And then, but I and Hayashi found this is extremely beautiful, and then decided to renew this such by a traditional manner. And then this is a map in 1976 on left side, 1975 on left side, and 2020 on right side. So how the cultivated area is decreasing now, and it's because of depopulation and super aging. So in order to renew the such roof, we have to produce also miscanthus grass. So like the grass to cover for the roof. So then we start reopening the abandoned farm, and we also repair the rice terrace. And then at the beginning, we didn't work not so much about architecture. We just work to maintain this terrace rice terrace landscape. And then we found so many invisible small work, which is not, we can't see from the city. So we know how to plant, and we know the scenery of planting rice and cropping rice, but we don't know what is actually happening after cropping during the winter time. So we learn a lot from Mr. Hayashi, and to survey which kind of a small job is necessary, shadow work is necessary for maintain this landscape. So the right side is the drawings which shows the it's a landscape, but also workspace of this farming village. And then we luckily bought, collectively bought this old farmhouse with 20 people, and then start renovating this as a kind of venue for the people to come and then enjoy and then work together. And then at the beginning, we just clarify to improve the condition of the house by creating a kind of better, how to say, the water flow underground, and then putting this kind of bamboo stick or bamboo piles into the ground, and then together with the straws and the charcoals, this is a special manner which is called improvement of underground. And there is also flow of water and air underground, and which is very important to keep this kind of landscape and then also house in a healthy manner. This is Mr. Takada who taught us this technique of improving the underground conditions. And this is a kitchen. We found this house, the moment when we found this house, and then it was really deteriorated. And we start working in the farm, and then first we try to transform this abandoned farm into a miscanthus field for such roof, and then making a trench to dry the land, and this mud becomes a render wall, and then the lattice, which is which holds mud on the wall, is also from the back mountain, and then so all the materials are from the village, and then we work together with a professional renderer who teach us. And then we salvage all these old materials, and then also produce a kind of use the barks of cedar which were cut for some reasons, and then dry them out, and then use for the exterior wall cladding. And then we made a kind of floors by salvaged wood, and then this the storage building were transformed into gallery. And then in order to do that, we made a kind of charcoal, husk charcoal by this kind of manner, and then put them underground, under the floor, and then we extended the original roof of the cow shed to store the firewood, and then transform the back garden into stone garden, and we do a kind of a dry stone wall, retaining wall, and this is how the kitchen, community kitchen is running now. And these drawings shows kind of the travels of different materials from farming, forestry, and construction. So it's a kind of circular things. And then we finally achieved to start the renewing the such roof together with a very talented thatcher, Sagara-san. And then the construction is really silent because we don't use hammers and saws and drills. So, and it becomes like this by twice workshop. And I start to also to take care of the growing the sachis in different places. And then recently, my students built the house, tiny house on top of the hill, and to feel how the water from the mountain, from the rain, can be stored in the orange, and then we eat it, and then through our body, it goes to the ocean. So through this experience, I found today's construction industry is this kind of quadrant is withdrawn, and the one axis is owned and shared, and then the other is contracted and mutual aid. And then most of the construction today is in this first division. What we have done is this third division, and I think, for example, the Burning Man is also this third division. I think the third division is quite interesting because it's a mutual aid and shared combination. And then there are also second division and fourth division. There are more diverse manner about architecture. And then through this experience, we collected many tools. So tools become very, very important because without tools, you can't access to the local resources. So I made another quadrant again. So the one axis is facility and field, and then the other axis is tools and service. And 20th century building types is basically within this facility service division. And what we are doing in this farming village is tools in the field, together with in the field with tools. And then I imagine that what is missing here, it can be 21st century building types also in the city. So the facility which allow people to access to the tools to start using it again. Because now as a city, we don't use the tools, and our life is totally dependent on the services. But I think it's time to bring tools back to our life. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay.
So thank you very much. We understand that we're the main obstacle between you and your dinner, so we're going to keep that short and hopefully sweet. If I were to summarize or to try to get at the substance of what you said, it's the idea, and connect it with two of the previous talks, actually. It's the idea that progress and development has been based on division of labor, which has increased the distance between humans and the objects that surround us. What you're pointing out, which is not new, but is very important and tends to be forgotten, is the idea that the connection with the environment that surrounds us, and especially the connection through our skills and what you describe as resourcefulness, is also extremely important, and it's something that we have paid a very high cost for losing. in the name of a lot of the advantages we've gained otherwise. So my question to you is, perhaps we are at a turning point, because up until today, the idea of going back into the past was always seen as Luddite. We cannot sustain a mass society on the basis of techniques that are very artisanal. But now we are at the cusp of a very, very big change, which is the advent of artificial intelligence, which is likely to create a situation in which most people are going to have, number one, a lot of time on their hands, and number two, no meaning in their lives. So a lot of what you're describing is going to become, perhaps, very necessary for us to find a balance. The airports that we saw described in the previous lecture are going to be built up by artificial intelligence, by robots, by machines. So perhaps what you're describing here is a way to repurpose our lives in a way that today we cannot possibly perceive as possible. Would that be a correct interpretation of your thinking?
Yeah, yes, it's correct, because I don't think this kind of lifestyle. I actually visit this farming village every weekend with my students and my friends. And then there are also friends of Mr. Hayashi who often visit this village to help us, to work together with us. So there is in the first conversation about back to basic, they talked about the second zone, second target, who is not living there, but who has a strong connection with the place. I think we are trying to work to grow this population. And then from this population, some people decide to migrate this village, actually. And then we are now planning to make a new housing to receive those people. And I think this is not wouldn't be a kind of majority of our Japanese population, but I think it can be kind of whole of one single ant, which penetrate the kind of barrier or kind of wall, and then other ants follow, and then the whole becomes larger and larger and larger. And then I think next few years, I think the other side of the wall will have more population, more people who enjoy this kind of lifestyle. And I believe that it's going to happen, because even in this kind of a farming village, we still have internet, we have computers. I actually work a lot in this farming village. And we can also we are preparing, making a platform to find a small job which people can help through internet. So, like menu in the program of the cinema. So Saturday afternoon, we do this, and then people can access to this kind of event. So, and I really like to develop this kind of platform also.
So maybe that can infuse the idea of back to basics in the Greek islands with a different meaning. Instead of people buying their houses, they should actually build them themselves, especially using traditional techniques.
Yes. I think understanding how this landscape, how the original landscapes have been made, is extremely necessary. Just borrowing the styles, borrowing the kind of atmosphere, it will be criticized as a cultural exploitation in the future. So now we have to really think about back to basic, but go back, beyond go back to basic.
I think to conclude this very quick exchange, as I said before, it's extremely difficult. I think it's impossible to even imagine how life is going to change in the next 20 years, because the changes in the technology right now are just impossible to even fathom. But I think precisely because of that, and I think your metaphor of the ant makes a lot of sense, trying to think how pre-industrial analog techniques can be repurposed for a post-digital life may be something that's worth exploring much more systematically than we do. There was, in fact, in the discussion with the candidate, the mayoral candidate from Thessaloniki, there was a reference to how people in the cities in Greece didn't care very much about green spaces in the city because they went back to their villages. And the point was that now the new generation doesn't have villages, but that's not completely true because there is much more of a connection with ancestral villages in Greece, even among very young people today. And there is a lot of demand for it. Imagining ways in which young people can become perhaps more active in a variety of projects that take into account these kinds of local techniques in their villages is both good for them, for the cities, and for the villages themselves.
Yeah, I think our goal is to resolve the war between city and farm, city and village.
So I'll close by just pointing out that perhaps architecture is a field in which imagination is needed more than ever. So instead of following the script, we have to open new ways. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.